changing some of our roles, and that's why the element of community policing has come in, where we are all involving, all engaging, and all collaborating with each other in order to prevent crime. And this is especially in Article 212D of our Constitution, amongst our roles. This is not to be the role of the police as from the colonial time.
Yes.
But when the new Constitution came into dawn, this role is there, and we tend to open up and even inform the public how they can be able to raise complaints against individual policemen, how we really need to partner up with them in the fight against crime, and especially preventing crime, because prevention is better than cure. We can no longer be able to stand up and say we are going to use reactive force. We need proactive methods.
All right. Of course, our community policing methods, we know about the matters. We won't go into the details of that, but before the colonialist mindset became entrenched, we know some of those things that used to happen, matters being martyred, being killed on the orders of our own systems. How different was it? Did it become after the colonialists came?
But remember, was there a very clear law to safeguard the citizens? Because after all, when you look at the colonial law, it subjected the citizens to be either second or non-existence.
Right.
Because they were there.
To institutionalize some of these things.
The police was a state organ. And as such, whatever it did, it was more accountable to the government than the people.
Right.
We are now talking about police being accountable to people.
A radical shift. Let's talk about, before we hear from the listeners, Ruth, let's talk about the cases. How come it's not much reported if it's that prevalent?
One, I think people don't understand what torture is.
Yes.
And like we have previously said, we don't have it in our books, statute books to indicate that there's a crime of torture. So that is why it is not often reported. In most cases, when you hear torture, you hear Human Rights Commission, you hear activists, and then you hear police. So our courts are not handling torture. Very few, though some magistrates and judges have gone, a step further to start bringing using the international instruments to bring in torture. But those are still very few cases. But if you look at the trends of torture, if I go back 2006 and the complaints we have been receiving, you realize that it has been on the rise, and it has been
since 2006. Yes, that's about 5 years.
Or even 2005.
You have cases.
Torture tops the list of human rights violations. In 2006, it was 21.6%, the highest violation. 2007 right. was the highest. 2008, up to 2010, it's still the highest violation in the country. So that shows that there's a problem. And that means we have to find avenues in which to rectify or find solutions to address that problem.
All right, just before we get to hear from the listeners, Barbra, is the judiciary well suited to handle the flow? When the law comes in place, there's going to be a flood probably. Will our judiciary be able to handle it?
Yes. We were mindful of that while we were drafting the bill. And we say the chief magistrates, because we have enough magisterial areas and magistrate courts. So we set the jurisdiction to be at...
It's a little bit low.
It's at low at the chief magistrate's level.
So the volume can be handled.
The volume can be handled.
Let's hear from you, listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. Making a case for a specific law on torture. How bad is the situation to justify such a law? Our numbers: 0414 348 111, 0312 260 390, 0312 261 390. You call in, please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Explain to us a little bit more in detail. You said you've set the bar at a little bit low, at a certain low, at a low rate, the magisterial level. Where exactly have you set it?
At the chief magistrate's level.
So any chief magistrate anywhere can try a torture case.
Yes.
They don't have to, point it to the High Court.
No, because we had lessons learned from the Anti-Corruption Act.
Okay.
Because
now you said it low. Let's hear from a listener. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Your name?
Hello.
Hello. You're live on Spectrum. Your name?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
This is Samuel.
Samuel, yes.
You know, those ladies from the Human Rights Commission always interest me. When they are on the radio, they talk very nicely, but in action they don't. I personally, I have a case with them. This case has stayed for 10 years. They have never decided it. At one time, they even behaved like a stooge of government. Their officer investigated, he closed my file, decided with policemen. I filed an appeal. Wherever I go there, it's not yet handled. Actually, I'm considering to apply for a madam from High Court, order them to hear my case. Now, what do they mean? At one time, he told me that the policemen were justified to torture me because I had a problem. What justifies torture? They were saying the law allows policemen to use excessive force. But does that excessive force amount to torture? Does it justify torture?
All right. Interesting. We'll have a response. Spectrum, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Shasham was Ukanya is my name.
Yes.
I have just a single question to ask those people in the studios that we have, in fact, torture is not only when you see a policeman beating up somebody, or maybe, yes, but there is even mental torture or what. But indeed, we have got 30 people who are imprisoned over the Uganda riots, the so-called Uganda riots. But indeed, they have not been.
We lost you there, but I think the point is really made. We need to cut you off. Spectrum, hello? Okay, let's get right over to you. Okay, let's take one final caller. Can we get back to this?
Edmond, good evening, sir.
Good evening, your name?
I am AM as usual. Thank you for saying that.
AM, yes.
I want to agree with those yes, but what I want to tell the guests, they should be aware that our population don't respect the rule of law. Why do I say this? A policeman can stop someone, someone resists. So it's very important that while you are advocating for torture or scaling down torture, at the same time, you should educate the public to respect the rule of law, because the perception is very bad, especially our people here, especially here in Kampala here. Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to the studio. Ruth.
Thank you. I will first take Samuel's comments. He says he has had a case with the Uganda Human Rights Commission.
10 years, nothing.
10 years, nothing has been done.
You told him he's the one in the wrong at some stage.
I'm surprised and amazed that he alleges that one of our officers said police was justified.
Should he come to your desk tomorrow?
I would request Samuel to come to my desk tomorrow. And
Uganda Road.
9
o'clock.
Head office. 9 o'clock. If he can make it at 8, it would even be better. And then maybe I would, look into the matter. But I do not know whether our officer would say police was justified.
Well, he's coming tomorrow.
But then he's coming tomorrow. I'll look into the matter.
If you don't, we'll hold you accountable the next time.
Please do. Please do. AN says the population do not respect the rule of law. Yes, when we're talking about human rights, we talk about rights, but we also emphasize responsibilities. People often demand for their rights, but they forget that they too have responsibilities. And every time we say we are out there talking to the people, we emphasize that you too, where your right stops is where mine begins. And as such, we have rights, we have responsibilities. We should also respect law enforcers. We should also respect our neighbors and everyone around us. And I think what we have in Uganda, we also have a culture of violence. And I think that's also
a culture of violence.
Yes.
How do you explain it?
I would say that people always think police is justified to be violent sometimes, and the state also, the police officers sometimes, like Anatoli said, they come from a background where torture was condoned, and as such they tend to use force and violence to obtain what they do. So I think we should try to train our children as well to make sure that
to be polite and nice.
Yes.
Not to settle it.
Yeah.
Physically.
With regard to Kenya, 30 people were imprisoned over Uganda riots. I think the matter is being handled by the courts of law.
No, but they've been, I mean, September, you're talking about something that happened 3 years ago. They're still in, that would be very unfair.
And we have come up, because we're under jealous, we have been discussing this to see how the judiciary can expedite.
So you're concerned about it?
Yes, we are. The Uganda Human Rights Commission is concerned, and we have, we're still, dialoguing and to see how we have raised it with jealous to see how these people's matters can be handled expeditiously.
Yes, Bwana Muleterwa, talk to us.
Yes, thank you very much, callers. Let me take this opportunity to respond to the issue raised by Samuel, especially on justifying police action on the use of excessive force. There is no law in the law books that justifies the use of excessive force. Let me make this clear, please, Samuel. There is no law in books of law that justifies the use of excessive force. What we tend to use in our police act, in the execution of duty, is reasonable force. When you are at a scene of crime, or when you are responding to an incident, how can you be able, as a trained police officer, adduce the level of force you can be able to use, but not that you'll be able to use a gun to
shoot a man's leg.
Shoot a man's leg who is not even having a stick.
Well,
that is just like throwing a very big stone boulder on a fly.
Yes.
So you cannot be able to do that. So please, Samuel, the law emphasizes on the use of reasonable force, not excessive force. Excessive force per se amounts to torture.
Right.
And therefore, please, let's draw the line and then get to know very well on it.
All right.
Then, Edward, please, yes, people may not respect the rule of law, but also those who know the law.
That was
must.
AM.
This is AM?
Yes.
Yes, AM. Then those who also know the law must also not exercise it as if they are ignorant about the law.
Yes.
So we really need to have an edge on whatever we are doing.
Right.
That if you know, can you try to, by the way, because people, it's unfortunate that some of the laws we implement are very funny, like the penal code talks about ignorance is not defense in course of law.
Yes.
But yet you are arresting somebody who is indeed ignorant.
Yes.
That's why we are emphasizing on sensitization, so that really people know their obligations and responsibility.
Well, of course, very interesting what we're hearing from the police. Not many people would have known that that's the attitude in the police force. Very, very enlightening. Barbra, your responses to some of these scholars. 30 jailed over Uganda riots. What are you doing about that? AVOCATs and Frontier.
Yes, AVOCATs and Frontiers is...
Yes,
there is a network of legal aid service providers. It's
working on this particular case.
It's called the Legal Service Providers Network.
Yes.
It was actually working on the September riots.
Then what happened?
Yes, because I can see that this is a piece of information that seems to be because a list was compiled. There were several organizations. This is a network of legal aid service providers. These are lawyers who have committed their time and effort
pro bono services.
Legal aid.
Legal aid.
Pro bono services is also a different component whereby lawyers in legal practice can give their time to help.
Yes.
So I'm thinking here that what these 30 people need is to be linked up with legal aid service providers that can actually follow up what is actually happening.
They should write a letter.
Exactly.
Even though they're in jail. Well, we have to go.
No, Ambrose has talked on their behalf. So Ambrose can get in touch with us. And then we shall put him in touch with people who can actually help him access justice.
Well, Barbra, thank you very much indeed. I must thank our guest, Miss Barbra Nambi Nabunya, Barbra Nambi, Project Coordinator, Access to Justice in charge of the Central Region from AVOCATs Sans Frontières, that's the Lawyers Without Borders International Group. Thank you for coming to Spectrum. Assistant Superintendent of Police Anatoli, Muleterwa, Community Liaison Officer, Kampala Metropolitan Police. Thank you for coming over, sir. Ms. Ruth Sekidi, Director, Complaints, Investigations and Legal Services at the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English.
You are sipping a nice, cold, refreshing